It's just amazing to me. Virtually every person I talk to has somebody they know that's been affected by addiction.
Yeah, the opioid crisis is mind blowing in that we did that launch of Project Opioid, where our leaders, if you're not from Central Florida, have come together to try to fight addiction, help people that are addicted to these drugs, and reduce opioid deaths. And I had never seen anything like it. Almost every person who got up as a leader to speak, Dick Batchelor gets up and tells a story of his sister that died of overdose and addiction, and he had never told that story publicly before. So it is one of those issues where it's a no-brainer in that when you see that many people losing their lives and it impacting so many families, I think all of us just say, hey, how can we be a part of this solution there? I think it's also a challenge because it started in our institutions. It started with doctors. It started with pharmaceutical companies, and it's not people from the wrong side of the track scoring illegal drugs as a starting point. Do you think that makes the opioid crisis more challenging, kind of its genesis?
Well, I think the thing that has struck me is the recognition that it's a disease. I mean, people having cancer are a disease, people having an addiction is a disease, but they're not treated the same. And there was a father that started one of the national groups that told his story about his son having an addiction issue and his son's best friend having some form of cancer, and how the entire community rallied around the child that had cancer and were doing bake sales. And anytime he came home from radiation or whatever treatments he's having, everybody was there to embrace him, whereas his son was an outcast and was embarrassed by the fact that he had the issue, and then depression set in, and a bad result there. So I think our number one piece of this is to have everybody understand that it is an illness, it's a disease, and it needs to be treated as such, and people need to be encouraged to come forward with their disease.
Whether it's chronic homelessness or the opioid crisis or a lot of folks struggling in poverty in our community, we're still working on that, like most communities in America. Turning away, there's that old puritanical idea that if you do good things happen to you and you shouldn't have problems, but if you have bad things happen to you, obviously you've done something wrong and it's your fault. Both with the opioid crisis, chronic homelessness, we've had to take a closer look, and we're still doing that, and say, hey, maybe this person, it isn't necessarily about a blame game. It's about us as a society thinking in a more evolved way when someone's struggling, or they've got this challenge, but why? Why are they struggling?
And just recognizing it as an issue that is just as important to us as whether the Magic make the playoffs.
Boy, we're all praying there, aren't we?